Beloved star, welcome, welcome, warmest welcome to our Immortal Starlight pod number 20, and this pod that supports the becoming of your immortal starlight dream, your immortal starlight, crystalline, infinite reality of your soul star here upon the earth, and the core teaching gifted by the Elven to me at this time is so much of our avatar presence, of that one who we are, and especially that new cosmic archetype for the dawn, that from within the deepest part of our core essence we are called to become, to be here for this time. The revelation that each one of us is, if you like. And in that essence, in that avatar, we can afford to have repetition, have that core note, that tonal essence, like the drum beat, sounded and repeated over and over and over into existence for the dawn. For that is how this beautiful imprint that you're seeding here for the time that is come and for the generations who follow truly arrives. And while there is adventure of profoundest expansion within that remembrance of who we are, without a doubt, the most epical quest and adventure, like Bilbo Baggins setting forth in The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, of an adventure into a world, into an earth, into a universe, into a self greater than ever we knew we were at the conscious level. Yet there is a quality to that wandering, to that quest, that is of the within our light, within our essence as avatar. And by so doing, we do have free will choice. We can wander wherever we want. We can shoot through the field of our aura into all kinds of realms. And perhaps we have done and explored and so chosen. But for the dawn, in order for us to seed and to leave this beautiful tonal essence of our footprints, of our being, for the dawn, for the generation who follows upon this earth, we are called to walk as the one who we are, and our wandering, our adventure is within the light of self, the light of the one who we are. And so this repetition, oftentimes, and especially in Western culture, we place such a value on originality, on innovation, on the idea that if we repeat what came yesterday, it'll become boring. This quest for novelty always. And as I say, our adventure, our quest of becoming does not come from that urge for novelty that is seeded in a sense that who you are is not already enough. For that is what creates that rupturing, if you like, a movement that is outside of ourselves. And we are always called back, always. Even when we go outside of ourselves, from the greater and the non-dual view, we can't really ever go outside of ourselves. We are always being called back. We are always within that light of that one. We are always being called back home. We cannot be lost from ourselves. Not ever. But when we don't let that feeling of perhaps, yes, I have connected to my avatar, I know who I am, I know the light I'm here to unfold and reveal for the dawn, but somehow it's hard to settle into that, hard to trust, to believe that that truly is enough, or that I could really receive the depths of this remembering and this gift so that I can give it. And even if I give it, I'm not sure of its value. so that we have this relationship as we remember and are awakened to our own essence, avatar being, becoming the tonal note of pure presence, where we dance around a little, around that core, remembering and forgetting, coming back, leaving again. And the message of this time as we stand at this threshold of the spring, as the emerald life force, the sap rises, the green fire within all, as all comes to life, and there is a fire, and we can feel propelled into a multifarious blossoming into many, many realms. That energy can be as much a propulsion of true becoming as it can be a propulsion that carries us off here, there, and everywhere. And if we are able to stay with who we are at this time and have the courage to stay present within the core of our beauty, and it takes strength, deepest courage to be in the beauty of who we are, to let go of our fear or our sense we are not enough, in this simplicity, in this purity, in this tonal note, this vibration of that which we are. To let all of that contraction, not enoughness, dissolve in the space of that presencing, so that we are not viewing our presence, as it were. We are viewing as that presence. And if we stay there in that vast, beautiful courage and longed for invitation, it's where we long to be too. And sometimes the connection is so deep and perpetual and beautiful to who we are, as we remember, that it almost feels we can afford to dance away, because there is so much there. And we know it'll always be there for us. It will always come back. Our divine essence will always rest, waiting for us. But there's another possibility, not to let it rest, waiting for you, not just to be a sanctuary to return to, but to be as that one, to be as the sacred, pure light essence that we are, each one of us, and to let the blossoming, the divine gifts unfold from within for the deeper wave of revelation of this spring. You may not be in a spring if you're on the other side of the earth, but equally then it's that time of beginning to turn, within and into that that inner time, and equally to ourself, who we are, our purest essence, has infinite and immortal treasures to unveil, eternal treasures to unveil. There is so much more within. We are just at the beginning of that era of beingness once more. And the spheres of that remembering within our core, as we return to who we are, have so much to give us. And there is so much to be received. And I have just been in my own threshold. I speak this now because, and I've spoken of it recently, with the swan feathers, the swan queen, this being in our celestial blueprint, this purification of being this one who we are, returning and returning again and again to that pure celestial template that you are holding for the dawn, that avatar presence. What is the wave of your becoming now, what you're called to? And I've been talking of this a great deal, and it's because it's so much the journey and the teaching I'm receiving myself, and because at every phase, while the Elven remembrance is of my own I am presence, what I am called to and most long for, and is most the frequency of home, I also stand as that wanderer, as that one who has wandered off and forgotten, in wonder, looking back in and saying, really? Can I, could I remember, receive more of who I am, of this unbelievable, great, deepest, epical story of truth that dwells within? And I can feel it, and at the same time I feel from that place of the observer, of the one who has wandered off and forgotten, like how could I ever receive more of this? So much has been gifted. How could more truly come? And I've been standing at that threshold, and because there is presenting this great turn in my work, this great turn in the Elven work and of the dawn and of our ascension. And I've been shown what that is for some little while as that celestial blueprint for the next wave presents, and beginning to receive, to understand more of all that that is. It's been some months really with this wave that it's been coming in, but now it wants to pattern forth its fullness, just as here the flowers are beginning to unfold and open their petals. The leaves of my pear tree are coming out, the pear blossom is there. The information I'm being given wants to give its deep and sacred tonal notes of detailed resonance of the fullness, really, gifted through my cognitive and mental body also, of the wave of remembrance I'll be holding for the next phase of my work. And I'd love to speak a little of that. This relates to the Elven Earth of the title of this pod. And I just felt to share this. If you're watching the video version, you'll see. If you're on the audio, I'll just tell you what I'm showing. It's this beautiful deerskin mandala created by Argon, who is Blue Dragon Alchemy, incredible craftsman, sacred craftsman. And when I first started sharing the Silver Wheel, he created these mandalas of the Silver Wheel gifts on white deerskin, and so sacredly created, and with this apophyllite crystal in the center. And it was the most beautiful gift to receive these, but I show you because this patterns forth all of the glyphs of the Silver Wheel that I was given. They are painted on in this golden ink onto the white deerskin. And I'm just going to take a moment, because I'm holding the white deerskin, for those who wonder about these things or have questions about, the deerskin, the body of the animal, how I feel with this, just to let you know where I am with that gifting of the deerskin. It is a profound remembrance that I hold through my own soul lineage of the crossover post-Atlantis, very much post-Atlantis, when we, before that, inhabiting, and I think we were already solidifying through the last phases of Atlantis, before that we shapeshifted back and forth very much of elemental, of animal, of elven, of human-esque form, and that we were one and all of those strands of our multidimensional essence that played through our light of that which we were, of that avatar presence, if you like, presencing through those aspects. And so for myself, carrying that soul lineage of the deer, that's one of my embodiment forms. And when that densification, if you like, came at the ending of Atlantis, when the earth that we have been in ever since formed, the ground of that earth that was much, much denser, I remember then it was as though emerging, no longer as both deer, elven, human aspects dancing back and forth, willow, other aspects that are part of my multidimensional essence, but walking alongside the reindeer. We as though emerged side by side and walked together. And we were able to carry consciousness in different ways. What had once been one united within was now in our separate bodies, and yet that we were able to communicate with each other still deeply. And in that deep and telepathic link of beingness, but that the reindeer carried that pulse, that heartbeat of the mother, different way of knowing the earth, of sensing the reality, and so attuned to the light paths within all, the where we needed to go, where we needed to travel, still attuned to that golden and immortal starlight earth woven through all. And One of the ways that the reindeer gifted itself was as also the hide and the keeper of the drum, of the way of that heartbeat being carried. And that for the animals, that experience of death is not judged the way we do as human beings, but that within that essence, which is of profound gifting and sacrifice, within the deer essence is also the willingness to give life when the moment is right within creation, to give it, to be carried on in another form. And that most sacred exchange of life, when known and truly communicated, is an expression of deepest love and of the unfurlment of our evolution and our becoming. And so that is my understanding of why so much as I remember of my lineage that walked the earth afterwards, so often clad in that deerskin, and the tents that we lived in, the reindeer hide of the tents, and that there was, both through life but also through death, through the exchange of the elements of our physical bodies and transmutation, that we were walking a sacred life and a sacred world one to another. And I know that for those who don't carry that earth record and lineage, it can be a very, very strange essence to understand. And while I don't believe there is any one right way, but there is the truth of the sacred, and that is known from within and felt from within when we are in attunement to that sacred heart of creation, that heart of the one who we are, that avatar presence, when we come into the tempo of the sacred and we understand that which is being given, that which is being received, and we move in that manner within whatever we are within, whatever we are creating, whatever we are gifting or being given, receiving. It's, the tempo of the sacred is known within our being. And so this beautiful deerskin holding the gifts, and that the deer actually gifted herself during Lemuria to become the cover of the deerskin book within which the teachings were held. And it was very much the living essence, the continuum of her being as guardian of the teachings. So with this way, with the reindeer drum, with that deerskin book, with these beautiful deerskins inscribed with the sacred teachings of reality. And that was the last great wave of my receiving, so much so to receive these beautiful Elven glyphs as wrought upon this deerskin. And they came at the end, or during a great journey when I had gone back to simply be with the earth in my years, in my early 20s when I moved back to Wales, and I sought simply to be with earth and to be present to the wind, the rain, the stars, the trees, to come back into that mystical earth moment, into that golden starred earth, and to truly become present with her once more. And it was very much a sensuous and a sensual and an elemental calling to be with the oak trees, with the beech trees, with the flowers as they unfurled season after season, with the moonlight, with the sunlight. And what was gifted through that, though, was that as I listened, as I remembered, I was gifted these lights of the crystalline, celestial and elven templates and glyphs, codes, keys, doorways that are the shining architecture that dwell within and through what we perceive as earth. And they are at one moment always with her essence, dreamt with her, as her. And that is what the silver wheel is. It is those glyphs, as I've been shown this, are the living breath of earth's own first starlight dream, as dreamt amongst the stars by the Elven and the star elders, as dreamt this essence of earth, of Oriel, of Gaia. and the crystalline dimensions of this realm, this emerald temple, this meeting place of worlds. And so in some ways it's been a strange thing, because I was so much coming back to earth, and yet through earth, through the sensual and the sensuous and the coming back to the elements, was carried in some ways far, far beyond and through. And through the last years and the waves of my sharing the Elven light, I have shared through those crystalline templates and blueprints of the glyphs, of the flames of the everlasting stars, and those lights of sapphire, of silver, of the tones and notes of these celestial pulses of creation, because the reason being that in this moment of a new cycle of creation that is of earth and yet greater than the earth and beyond, a new wave pulse of the celestial lights are being gifted through like a ripple, an impulse of first light creation all over again, and being dreamt as never before. And so we come back to the beginning, why so many of us are guided into the pure light of creation again with the dawn, and we are emergent once more through that precipitation of that elder celestial light of the beginning, moving through the realms, moving through the star realms, and becoming earth, the arising of this immortal starlight, golden earth once more, the arising of her sacred blueprint, template, her architectures, her palaces, halls of light, her original dream. And we've held that in memory as the remembrance of the Shining Ones, of the She, of the Elven, of the dragons, those who have come before. And it has been held there, that sense of the lost realms, the lost temples, and the silver wheel speaks again and again. It will be yours, it will come to you to build the lost temples. And it will come to you perhaps as you gaze upon an orchid in the meadow, as you come to sit beneath a pine tree, as you place a crystal just here, that you will feel and you will know that you are building the lost temples, that they are rising through you. And so with this return, with this return of an earth long since dreamt, rippling through, arising once more, the returning of these realms, we receive the earth as never before. And that is what I'm experiencing at this threshold. And it's very beautiful, because through the returning of the lost realms, of the home worlds, of the immortal starlight earth, I felt through the last wave, and the elder crystals have been returning, the elder trees, and then, as I spoke of last time, the 7 directions of presence and of the elements, the 4 elements and the directions of the above, below and within of our home world, and that pure elemental presencing the continuum of the codes of where we come from, arriving as Oriel, as Gaia, as Earth, co-creating with her, that we start to feel, I've been feeling this direct remembrance and knowing of the lineage of light from the beginning, from the first time, that runs through the oak trees, the flowers, the crystals, the stones, feeling it's like being brought back full circle to the sensual, sensuous earth once more, but this time in absolute reunion with that immortal starlight blueprint, the crystalline codings of the new dawn, of the beginning, that pulse of creation, of the home worlds rising once more. And so with that depth of unlocking of of an Elven Earth, of a many-starred Earth, all of the realms that are opening up with us. It does feel that we are experiencing these doorways, and a continuum with that great and epical story of the lost realms, of the lost temples. And that word lost will probably phase out with time, but it's still resonant, that one can feel all the way through that home world light. And for me, as I've shared, that is the remembrance of that elven dimension of Ephalianon, Evalon, flowing, inflowing, co-creating with Gaia, with Earth, Oriel, to become Elatia Nora, and the realms that have risen here, the golden elven temple of our Aria Fina, and the light of the morning star, and those elven lands traced through Earth, one of her dimensions, rising once more. And one of the beautiful things that happened when the elder trees returned was to meet with a tree of this earth now, of this physical earth now, that is a descendant, of the elder trees seeded from Aphalianon, those immortal starlight seeds brought from there, that rose in Elatia Nora as the great oaken-like trees. And of course it's the oak of this world now. But feeling that continuum, that absolute continuum wrought through as the keys of power handed over to our physical reality now. And while I felt the sacredness of Earth always and throughout, and the connection with the elemental realms, it's as though I've never felt this depth of synchronization of the first light running and revealing through all, an absolute cadence of remembrance of the sacred purity through the aeons of all that is. And so as that is restored, so to come full circle with the change of the work that I am guided to share, I remember when I was holding a journey called the Elven Galactic Starflowers, which is a teaching I hold about the galactic, Elven galactic light body, and the beautiful crystalline templates of these flowers of light that underlie our form. And they're beautiful, beautiful teachings. But these are flowers, as it were, of another world, the geometries and blueprints that underlie the flowering of our presence here. And I remember someone saying to me, I would have loved to be on this journey, but I really want to work with the physical flowers of this world right now. I feel that's what's for me. And I felt such a regret or a longing. I felt, gosh, I wish that is what I was sharing with you. But I know I must share these crystalline blueprints of the Elven remembrance at this phase. This is what I'm called to. But for me, there is ultimately no division. I'd love to be sharing both and. But the time not right yet. And so, and as this song by Beth Orton I've always loved, regrets are just things we haven't done yet. So with that regret that I felt at that moment, it's just simply something not yet. But what I've been gifted is the time is now. And I've held the Elven Aurora and the Elven journey through 7 years or so now, through the crystalline light of the Elven glyphs and celestial flames, and the cadences of our return through those layers and levels, but really, really guided to share now the overlighting energy for each moon, one elemental and, plant, tree, flower, guardian of each moon. And so we'll go through the oaken moon and the rose moon, through jasmine, apple, and on they go. I won't reveal them all just yet. But as I received that, you see, part of my questioning has been, gosh, can I share of that and not get lost in the resonance of the world as it's been, of the elemental kingdoms as they have been composed in this beautiful and yet veiled state? Can I really stay true now between all the layers of perception and continuum? And there is this absolute sense that, yes, the lights of Elatia Nora and of that elven golden immortal starred earth flowing in, flowing, revealing now through the presence of the trees, of the flowers here. So it's an amazing movement, but it does expand me, and it's the sense to come back full circle. It expands me from within, because it's what I've always known. It's what I've always carried. I've always carried this reunion of the realms, this knowing of them as one, this knowing of this continuum of creation within all. And yet now is the first time of sharing and integrating through completely to that level. And so it is an expansion, but very much from within. And I found at this moment of the spring blossoming, it's taken quite a lot of strength to stay really present to that calling and not to shoot out here and there. You know, part of me would love then to go off and gather information out there, but it's not. It's to still into that avatar presence that is gifting, unfolding codes of deepest knowing from within as never before, in accordance with the sacred pulse, the heartbeat of the earth herself. And that is the beauty, that when we are within our own avatar presence, that we are receiving, instead of shooting out there and kind of grasping or grabbing, we are receiving in a sacred way. So again, like receiving that essence of the spirit of the deer in a sacred way, that are sacred lights that we are connecting with, the doorways we're opening. These are sacred doorways of the new earth, of the earth that has always been, and there's a reason those have been closed. And they were closed with sacred care, with reverence, and we open them once more with sacred care, with reverence, in the cadence, with the pulse of the Earth Mother, the celestial heartbeat of creation, of source, of all that is, just stilling into. And even the way that we open the doorways that are within us, the deep and crystalline doorways of knowing, that we do so, we stand there as though in this most sacred prayer and ceremony, at every moment, even in our solitude, even when not seen, that we are this way with the sacred codes and the information that we carry. And I believe there's been a kind of schism between the new age and the traditional in some ways. And I believe part of the schism formed is because of this question over the energy of the sacred. And while it's beautiful that with the new age, with the sense of that, there is this freedom of connecting, of accessing the sacred realities, of not being bound into controlled, rigid forms of connection, that with that is not lost the energy of that sacred respect and care and reverence. I've always felt in my own energy field, it's like a meeting place far within of the traditional and the new age, somewhere where all of that meets within, that there is this place where, as those who remember, those called to come first, to reveal, to be those way showers of the dawn, that we do so with that grace and sacred reverence, that arrival of that avatar presence with deepest grace and sacred respect, arriving and revealing what we are here to reveal, holding it with reverence, not with rigidity, but with reverence, the same atmosphere of that sacred respect and reverence, both for ourselves, of the realities we are connecting with, and that in so doing we bestow the continuum of all that is most beautiful within the sacred traditions, all that is most beautiful within the timeline that we have walked, where the sacred ways have needed to be held in certain forms, because the density was so great, the forgetfulness so deep, that there needed to be very specific pathways in order to give access into that knowing of that one and that sacred reality. And yeah, we form a most reverent continuum through all dimensions, all worlds, in our return, in the grace light. But most of all, as I speak this, I think our ultimate spirit of reverence and respect comes when we know this essence of that which we are as enough. This is what we are called to. And as I still slowly into being revealed moon by moon, the elements of the elven wisdom that are flowing through now of this, it is being reverent, just a little step at a time, or a great wing flight at a time, with what is gifted from within. And so with that, the return of the Elven Earth, and I am so so thrilled to be at this threshold now. And I've shared so much through the light of the silver wheel, which was created at the ending of Lemuria and this beautiful sacred grove. And for me, it is the returning of our multidimensional flight through worlds, of ourselves as these swan shaman, these feathered and winged ones, shining ones, returning the star paths of our greater being, the earth paths of our greater being, coming back as who we are with our ancient future eternal gifts. And what I'm called to do, just raising the silver wheel. So while now, so this will not hold after this moon, which is the diamond moon, this medicine wheel will not be holding the Elven Aurora and the work that I share. That will be held by the lights of Alesia Nora and the returning elemental dimensions that will hold that beautiful ceremony of light. And also the I'm just wondering whether to go into too much detail right now. I'll save that bit. So that was my mind hopping there. So this beautiful cadence, but what I'm guided to do now is in the background, and what I've been doing for a while is to compose, to record all of the beautiful meditations of the silver wheel and of all the tools of that way, of the foundations of Elven Ascension, of that way of the Swan Shaman, of becoming that one who returns into that sacred interdimensional reality of the self through the lights of this beautiful medicine wheel of Elven Ascension. So I'm going to create that. I've already been writing its materials for some time, but at some point I will begin recording that and make sure that is always available. These beautiful, beautiful teachings, as a recorded way that we can return through these foundations of the Elven Ascension lights and of the silver wheel. So I'm so thrilled to be doing that. It's so beautiful to have that ticking away in the background, and just going slowly again, stilling into all the gifts I've been given over 20 years now of learning and receiving, and to encode that, to still into it, to encode it and share that. And then through the lights of the Elven Aurora, I get to be in this beautiful adventure, because there is that adventurer within me, but that adventurer of the within, that adventurer of essence, of the lights of Alesia Nora and the returning lands, still multidimensional travel, but from within the crystalline frequency of the now, of where we are now. And so, those layers. And then with that also, so this is where my mind hops to, but really guided now to orient the Elven Aurora to the great stargates of the fire festivals, of that wheel of the year, of the gateways, those celestial earthly gateways of Imbolc, of Samhain, of Lammas, of Beltane, these long since gateways of the equinox, of the solstice, and because they too are generative dimensions and generated by that original dream of the architecture of Earth, of our golden and our immortal starlight Earth. They are part of her divine and infinite immortal nature, generating herself as, in fact, this timeless reality. And when we come into the heart of their cadence, we are restored. in our creation of our experience of, yes, walking the new earth around us, our physical reality, but that dimensionality of time and of space and also of time, and really, really beginning to understand how our first light, our avatar presence, that which we are, is generative of this also. And the light of our homeland, of who we are, is creating these sacred dimensions, this experience of time and space and timelessness, that, yeah, as we walk through the cadences of those gateways, and they are her own dreaming design of that. So yeah, as we synchronize as earth and as ourselves once more, dreaming as who we truly are. So that's as much as I can share now of the Elven Earth and the way this is flowing through for the next wave of Elven Starlight creation. There is so much more and depth and places I could go to within it, but so much can be spoken in one moment. So yeah, I hope it's been inspiring to your own Immortal Starlight reality, and where you feel that crystalline arrival and shifting points occurring, because it does feel like the access is arriving as never before. This concurrence of worlds, this immanence of interdimensionality, of who we are in this now moment, and that the portals of your own presence, of your own avatar presence, that you're also experiencing this incredible synchronization and ability to share all that you are through the realms, in your simplicity, in your essence. So yeah, so much love, and may this be a blessing to your path of the earth and the stars for the dawn. Anatana Totien Orathian. So much love, and I shall see you next time. Bye for now.